I think the single most important development in the last 24 hours, we now know that Vice President J.D. Vance, National Director of Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth helped walk the administration back from the brink of war with Iran. The war hawks have been beating the drums for an attack on Iran. We now see why we have put our trust and faith in those individuals, they within the administration, for those counseling the president that attacking Iran right now was a tactical and a strategic and a geopolitical error. And this is why we elected Trump as the peace candidate. Trump's not afraid to project American power when it is justified. But in this case, I have just named those who I think are most responsible for wisely counseling the president back from the brink of war.
And so now I'm going to bring this subject up to you and expand on this. I know you have amazing sources, including the president. In the last month, I've talked to very high-level people, and last week specifically, asked about what I'd been told and was told, oh, absolutely. And I'm not going to name names here. But then I said, well, this is obviously off record. And they were like, yeah, but you can talk about it in general. I am not anti-Israel. I know they have different governments, different people, and a population that just like ours disagrees on a lot of things. So I don't put it in one camp. But Israel does spy on us. Israel does sell our secrets. Israel does manipulate. Israel does the same stuff China does in the UK. Some of the other big players that do that, and I don't like it. And I don't like any foreign government meddling in our affairs. And Netanyahu obviously has been saying Iran's going to have nukes for 23 years, and we've got to attack him. He's always doing that. And I've been told that Trump has gone from really not trusting Netanyahu and being mad at him to absolutely hating his guts, and that he understands that Netanyahu's already been indicted and is in trouble, and that basically just wants war to continue, and that the Iran thing would be a total disaster, probably turn into a bigger fiasco, potentially nuclear war situation, bringing Russia in because they're allied in China, and that there's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and that Trump's not anti-Israel, far from it. He's pro-peace and pro-Israel, pro-everybody, but that Trump has basically read the riot act to Netanyahu, and we saw that meeting a week and a half ago or so, where, well, he'll be gone soon. He's just here for a little while. Bye-bye, Netanyahu. I mean, I saw really body language as well, and that's why I brought this back up to some folks. They said, oh, absolutely, Trump hates Netanyahu. And so I wanted to ask you what your view is of that statement.
I can't really speak to it. I do think that nobody pushes Donald Trump around. And anyone who thinks that you can pressure him or that you can high pressure him just doesn't understand his makeup or how he ticks. He is most definitely a friend of Israel, probably the greatest friend Israel ever had. But an attack on Iran is not in anyone's interest today, other than perhaps Israel's. And there are war hawks in this administration who have been beating the drum for that. But as I say, I think calmer, more rational voices have succeeded in persuading the president of the folly of that move. I mean, to me, I thought this a week ago, I really thought this was inevitable. I thought we were hurtling towards an attack on Iran. That would have brought, in my opinion, a Chinese attack on Israel. Maybe they don't realize that. And now we're looking at Armageddon. We're looking at...
let's be clear. The majority of the Knesset and the Jewish people in Israel, in polls, do not want to attack Iran. And Israel, to their credit, has already defeated Iran's proxies in Lebanon, in Gaza, and in the West Bank, and has basically... And the Houthis, the U.S. is now crushed. So there's no reason to do that. And now Iran is coming to the table talking about disarming with their ballistic missiles. I mean, where do you see this going? But that's exactly what I got, that it came to a head last week, and Trump said, no, you're not dragging us into this war, and we're not going to support you if you do that, which is obviously the plan. Netanyahu strikes, Iran strikes, we get into World War III with China and Russia. I mean, this is insane.
Look, I'm not even sure, and I'm not a military expert to say the least. I'm not sure that Israel has the capability to deliver the kind of devastating attack on Iran they want without our assistance. That's the good news.
Other than nukes, they don't.
And then secondarily, uh, the Iranians may already have a nuclear device. We're not certain. Some military experts believe they already do. Trump has been entirely reasonable to say, look, let us negotiate a non-military use of nuclear power that actually benefits your people. He's the ultimate deal maker. So I think we have, thanks to these voices internally, and then frankly some important voices on the outside, like Tucker Carlson, for example, have we pulled back from the brink of what could have been an unmitigated disaster. It is, as I say, in no one's interest. Now, as to how the president feels about Netanyahu, we certainly know how he felt immediately after the election when we were still counting votes here, but Netanyahu rushed to embrace the illegitimate presidency of Joe Biden. This was after we moved the capital, for example. Every Republican president I worked for, and I worked for 4 of them, they all pledged to move the capital. None of them actually did it. Who really did it? Donald Trump. There's been no greater friend to the Jewish people. There's been no greater friend to Israel. But when
he's a friend trying to save them and us from nuclear war. Absolutely. And it's funny you bring up Tucker. I talked to Tucker some about this with my other sources, and obviously people that don't know, he doesn't brag, but Steve Witkoff isn't just the envoy to Russia. He's also trying to stop war. We're else doing a great job. And Tucker is quite the unofficial ambassador as well, a very, very busy person. And that's why he's now being directly attacked by Netanyahu. And it sounds like you've talked to Tucker, but I don't know how much we should get into.
Actually, I have not talked to him. We've exchanged a few text messages, but I've been watching his broadcasts. I've been watching what he's saying. As you know, he doesn't post that often on social media other than to post his programming. He rarely posts comments, but when he does post just comments, they're very pungent and they're to the point. And I saw one the other night where he made a very good, comprehensive case as to why war with Iran would be an enormous mistake for the world at this point. So I'm breathing a little easier today. I feel, frankly, I guess the word would be confirmed or validated in my recommendation of Tulsi Gabbard to be the head of Director of National Intelligence. I really think this is among the president's very best appointments. And I think calmer heads have, thank God, prevailed here.
Looking at Trump's envoy, Witkoff, and the developments there, lots of 3, 4, 5 hour meetings. They say they're getting close. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I know Steve Witkoff. He's an enormously capable and patient individual. He's a negotiator kind of out of the Trump school. I think he is deeply committed to peace. I have a lot of confidence in him, a lot of confidence with the fact that that's who the president chose to send. And I think it is very positive. The other one who's, in all honesty, turned out to be a great and pleasing surprise here is my own former U.S. Senator, Marco Rubio. I mean, Marco Rubio 2016, although I liked him personally, was not my cup of tea. Now I think he's proving to be one of the most effective members of the Trump team. He's not carrying out his agenda. He's carrying out the president's agenda, and he's doing so extraordinarily effectively.
Well, that's right. I've had my issues with Marco Rubio, where he threatened to kick my ass once in the Senate. I'll kick your ass myself. But
you get upset because he pretended he didn't know who you were.
Yeah, I wasn't upset. I thought it was funny. But he is very capable and very smart. I'm glad he's on our team now because I think he's the most eloquent Secretary of State I've seen. I mean, Kissinger, I know, is really smart, but I mean, I watch the speeches he gives and the statements, the policy he says. Man, he is. It's good. He's very formidable.
No, it's what's interesting. You know how politics is. I mean, everybody here likes to look further down the road than is probably wise, but obviously, many people believe that J.D. Vance will succeed Donald Trump as president. There's a great tradition in our party of hegemony. We kind of believe in the next person in line. It's why we nominated Senator Bob Dole kind of after his cell date. Dole would have been great in '88, but by 92. I think it kind of passed him by. It's why we nominated John McCain 4 years after he was probably at his political strength. And it would be logical to say that J.D. Vance, to the extent that there is a front runner, this is very far away, but more and more talk about Marco Rubio for president, interestingly, just at the grassroots level. People who would never have been for him before now saying, maybe this is the guy. And of course, Tulsi Gabbard's name always gets thrown out there. See, we have a bench, not just for 2028, but for 2028 and beyond. The Democrats have no bench. I mean, they have J.D. Pritzker. They have little Josh Shapiro. They have Gavin Newsom. I mean, those three guys look like losers to me. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll nominate AOC on a ticket with Jasmine Crockett, but could we possibly be that lucky?
Absolutely. Since you raised that, let me get to this clip 6. This is on Fox News. One of the former big Dems, billionaires, Chamath, saying, look, the Democrats have no plan. Exactly what you're saying. Here it is.
Who are the leaders? Honestly, Jesse, I think that it's not obvious who they are. And the reason is because, we have in just the last few weeks, frankly, upended 50 years of economic orthodoxy. We are chartering a completely new course. And so what the Democrats will need to look for is someone that actually has a coherent point of view about the tactical nuances of what's actually happening. And I don't see that. Every time I hear from the Republicans, I see seasoned individuals who've been in the market, right, who are building businesses with their hands. And there's an experience that comes from that then shapes your feedback loop. And I think if the Democrats continue to just fall on this rhetoric or just look for sound bites, they're missing the point. The point is that to the extent that they got something very right, what I would say they got right was they pointed the finger at the inequality that was growing in the United States. But the thing that the Trump presidency did was basically say, great, it's called MAGA, and there is a huge focus on Main Street versus Wall Street. So the question is, what are the details? And we know what the Trump version of the details are, and there are just no details, and there aren't any steady hands with experience that can give a counterfactual. And I think that's where they end up sort of losing their momentum and looking a little nuts, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And there's a whole new international order because the globalist order failed. Trump just rode in to then help us shift it into 1776 worldwide. StoneZone.com. 30 more minutes with Roger Stone. We're going to come back, get into Letitia James, how important this is. This is a big domino to take down all the Soros operatives that have taken over law enforcement at the state and local level, and more straight ahead.
Show yourself. I have summoned you here for a purpose.
Nobody summons the straight frog.
Then it pleases me to be the first.
Straight frogs! Save the frogs! They're putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs.
State your business.
This is my command. You are to destroy the atrazine matrix of leadership. It is the one thing, the only thing, that can stand in my way.
You have nothing to fear. I have already crushed the globalists with my bare hands.
You exaggerate.
The point is, atrazine is dead and the matrix tied with it.
The point is, you are a fool. The matrix has been passed to their new leader. Ultra atrazine. Destroy it for me.
Why should I? What's in it for me?
Straight frogs! Save the frogs!
Oh, I need to counter.
Straight frogs! Save the frogs!
Your bargaining posture is highly dubious, but very well. I will provide you with a new body and new troops to command.
And?
And nothing. You belong to me now.
I belong to nobody.
Perhaps I misjudged you. Proceed on your way to oblivion.
No, I accept your terms. I accept you. I accept your terms.
Straight frogs!
But now we learned that the Tallahassee Police Department had warned the public of Thursday's training session right by the university. So they were doing a mass shooting drill while it happened, and that caused confusion. And they're saying slower response, loud bangs, crashes, and more. A drill right during it at the same area. That kind of ups the ante a little bit of what we could be dealing with. I hope this isn't a whole bunch of people that got shot. How many mass shootings have they had to drill at the exact same times? Most of them. And then those are the ones that they don't want us to look into. Also, breaking, D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals blocks Judge Chutkan's order requiring Citibank to disperse the billions and billions and billions from Biden's climate slush fund that they just put in there. Of the 300 plus billion, 20 billion didn't even say who it was going to. Just amazing. So things aren't going well for them on the corruption front. And that goes into the big subject we're covering now. Roger Stone obviously has a lot of sources, does a lot of research. And late last night, he figured out some information and some connections in all the stuff coming out about her homes that she says is 4 homes, but it's 1 home, and fraud on the taxes and fraud on the write-offs and fraud with HUD. And then now we learned her primary residence was in another state. So under the law, she couldn't be the attorney general. And then we've got her on top of that. It's now coming out with paying for private jets and flights with government money. It looks really, really bad. Reminds me of Fannie Willis, but even worse. So pretty much the same story. These people thought they'd never get in trouble. Letitia James falsified records to obtain loans, even claimed she was married to her father. This is not a clerical error. This is mortgage fraud. She falsified occupation details, and it goes on and on and on. So that's a big deal. The Trump administration has referred New York AG Letitia James for potential prosecution over alleged mortgage fraud. So has HUD. Big detailed reports on that in the New York Post. Docs showing Letitia James' residences could be legal problem for the AG. It's cut and dry. You've also got her investigated for private jet flights and more. So a lot is coming out on that front. Roger Stone has exclusive research and details on this, and he'll give us his overall view. People say, well, okay, she's a corrupt globalist. No, she's one of the big dominoes and one of the epicenters of the attack. She pledged when she was running, I'm going to put him in jail. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get that son of a bitch. Ha, ha, ha. Well, I tell you, the shoe is on the other foot, and unlike Trump, she is extremely corrupt, like all these Democrat scumbags. So, Roger, what's the latest on this, and what's the exclusive info?
Alex, I think this has to be put first in some context. People will be familiar with Letitia James, the New York Attorney General. She's the one who said that no person is above the law. She also referred to Donald Trump as the art of the steal. But the chickens have come home to roost here, because literally just weeks before Trump's trial in New York, the so-called valuation trial, this is the one in which he was falsely accused of inflating the value of his assets in order to obtain commercial real estate loans, which he paid back in full and on time, making the lenders $40 million in interest. She herself signed a power of attorney involved in the obtaining of a mortgage on a home in Virginia, in which she signed a power of attorney in which she specifically said, in order to obtain the mortgage and the specific mortgage rate, that she would move into the home within 60 days. Now, there's 2 problems with that. Were she to actually do that under New York state law, the office of the Attorney General would be automatically vacated. There's not even a hearing. You move out of state, you forfeit the office. Then yesterday, James' spokesperson told the New York Times on a separate loan application form provided by the Attorney General, Ms. James indicated she did not intend to occupy the property as her primary residence. That's what's known as a lie. There is no application. It's not in the public record. If they provided that to the New York Times, they provided a forgery. Secondarily, they said her mortgage agreement did not require her to live in the home. Also, a second lie, which I have detected this morning. You can go see all of these documents by going to whitecollarfraud.com, whitecollarfraud.com. It is meticulously documented. Now,
and let me just stop you there, because I know you said that to the crew, we're going to put those documents on screen from the White Collar Fraud site. You told me about this earlier this morning, and I went and looked, and I noticed no one had broken those two connections. And we don't want to be first. We don't care. We want it all out. But we need to focus on this. As of now, unless somebody else has broken it, you are the person that's made these connections by looking at the documents and her statements. So repeat what you just said so it's very clear.
Yeah, well, first I've got to give credit to Sam Antar, who is one of the greatest forensic researchers I've ever encountered, because I'm not in the mortgage business. I can't read these things the way he can. But it was interesting. I think it was Laura Ingraham had the first television-based story on this, and she was interviewing Jonathan Turley, the George Washington University law professor, who had reviewed all the documents, and said, look, there is no answer for this. The only possible answer she could give, pardon me, would be that these are documents or fabrications, that they're forgeries, which of course they're not. Then I noticed that she claimed in the New York Times that there was an additional mortgage application in which she did not agree to move into the property. That is a complete fabrication. That's false. And then secondarily, she said that the mortgage and the mortgage rate that she received did not require her to live in the property. That's also false. But Alex, this is part of a long chain of mortgage fraud. In the very first mortgage she ever obtained when she was 24, she used her father's balance sheet and his finances to obtain the mortgage. On the mortgage application, she says that her father is her husband. But on the title, she correctly says that her father is her father, that they are father and daughter. No, that's not a typographical error. It's because she could not have gotten the mortgage. She would have been eligible for the mortgage based on her finances as a 24-year-old. And then, additionally, there's this now relatively famous HAMP loan, which is a loan that is available, first of all, for those who are in financial hardship. She was making $14,000 a month at the time she applied for this, but it is available for rental properties that are 4 units and below. She certified in her application that the property in Virginia she was buying was only 4 units. We sent somebody out to look at it. It's 5 units. So there's yet another lie. She wasn't eligible. Today, she tells the New York Times that the property that in question regarding her residency, whether she's a New Yorker or lives in the Commonwealth of Virginia, she says her niece lives there. Sorry, we knocked on the door. The people living there, the people who live there are not related to you. They're renters. She's not your niece. So she evidently believes that she can lie her way out of this. Alex, I got to be honest with you. This is just one element of the fraud she's been involved in. I believe, I know that there's at least one lawsuit where she covered up sexual assault by her chief of staff, who just happens to be a Muslim. That was filed in 2022. Very recently, very quietly, the New York Appeals Court, all Democrats, did not dismiss the suit, but they dropped the attorney general from it. This is what lawyers call wrongly decided, and I believe it will be reviewed. At least 2 other women who claim that they were sexually assaulted by Letitia James's chief of staff. They've been threatened. They're scared, but I believe they will soon come forward. And this is ironic because you'll recall the issue Letitia James used to take down her fellow Democrat, Andrew Cuomo, was sexual assault. So there's a lot more to be heard about this coming up. And then additionally, we've done a deep dive into the financing of her campaign for attorney general, utilizing the notorious payment processing company Act Blue. And once again, you see the same pattern you saw with Raphael Warnock and Val Demings, Democrats from Georgia and Florida, respectively, where you have dozens, sometimes 20, 30 small or medium-sized contributions from people across the country who gave to Letitia James came for Attorney General. But when you go to their door, as, say, James O'Keefe has done, and you show them the spreadsheet and say, did you give these contributions? They have no idea what you're talking about. They did not.
No, it's simple. They're using other people's identities, just like they give the illegal aliens Social Security cards and let them vote, and then you do tax rebates and tax return money. It's just a total fraud machine, and that leads us into why doesn't Kash Patel just send FBI agents over to talk to Letitia? She'll lie her ass off, and then we got her right there, cut and dry.
Well, as you know, Bill Pulte, who is the head of the Federal Finance Housing Agency, pardon me, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, that's correct, has sent a formal letter to the Department of Justice recommending prosecution. So the decision now is up to the Attorney General. The Attorney General could ask the FBI to go out and verify everything that is alleged in the complaint, but the complaint is very, very documented. Now, look, I understand my old friend Laura Loomer claims that she broke this story a long time ago. Actually, that's not true. She pulled up the New York State website, and she could see that Letitia James had multiple mortgages over several years. She may have identified this discrepancy between 4 and 5 units, but she didn't publish that information. She didn't do anything with it. She evidently gave it to those in the Trump entourage who, it turns out, did not do anything with it. That's not quite the same as what has happened in the last.
And that's a problem right there. Trump's got a lot better people around him this time, but that's still not enough. Most people want to just get their job, keep their head down, and not take on the deep state because they'll come after you. Well, look, yeah, Flynn, myself, Roger, others, we've been targeted because we will go after people publicly, and we need to get everybody else doing that because it's not just safety in numbers. That's how we win, people. We don't have, God's given us this opportunity to take back the country. But if we sit here on our hands like a bunch of wimpy politicos, and I'm not talking about us, but these other people, it's time to get hardcore. We have not been given the shot to save the country to sit here with our thumbs, you know where, Roger.
Well, Alex, you know, I think it was Ronald Reagan who said, you can accomplish much if you don't care who gets the credit. Two people who deserve enormous credit here. You know Joel Gilbert, documentary filmmaker, terrific researcher, Sam Antar. These guys did the fundamental underlying research into Letitia James and her history of mortgage fraud, and they both need to be identified and given credit here today. All I did was recognize that we needed to amplify that in the marketplace.
Sure, I'm not even bringing this about credit. I'm talking about, and I wasn't talking about Laura Loomer, I'm talking about the Republicans she gave it to, the Trump administration people who did nothing. I mean, you remember when you and I were telling Trump, and he was listening, but about all the different globalists in the White House, Fiona Hill and all the rest of them, and they had 60-minute shows that were bullies and were mean, and then they come after us. And people say, well, why is it Roger and Alex Jones and General Flynn the only ones telling Trump? Because all the rest of them were scared, folks, okay? And it's not anywhere that bad this time. How would you grade the backbone in the current, let's say level 1 down 3 levels in Trump's staff, Trump's crew? I mean, I would say they're 500% better than 8 years ago, but I think there's still room for improvement on the hardcoreness here. You got to go for the juggler, right?
There's no question about that. Thinking back to that whole contretemps with Fiona Hill. Remember, Alex, when she went on 60 Minutes and did this act? I'm not even political. I don't know what you're talking about. She worked for Soros.
She said, I don't even know what a globalist is. Meanwhile, she was the editor of theglobalist.com. I don't know why Alex Jones and Roger Stone are mean to me. And she was literally running the operation against Trump inside the White House.
Look, this is like day and night. Trump has a first-rate team around him. Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, probably the greatest Secretary of the Treasury since Alexander Hamilton. Believes in gold, by the way. And outside the box.
Wants to get rid of the IRS, and they're moving to do it. Oh,
really
let's talk about that. Let's talk about some positive stuff here. On all cylinders, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., coming in, taking away, they're already set to take away vaccine liability protection. That's teed up. Banning all the poison chemicals in the food. That's now happening. Blocking the new, quote, COVID booster. Moving to take it off the recommended list, which takes away its liability, which effectively bans it. On and on and on. Then you've got Trump openly and Ludnick and all of them saying, yeah, we're getting rid of the income tax. I mean, they mean it. Can you speak to that? I mean, this is real revolution.
Yeah, they're very serious about this. This is not just like a throwaway, a press release. My own governor, Ron DeSantis, said, well, maybe we'll do away with with Florida property taxes. That's a press release. We have no income tax here. If we have no property taxes, then how exactly are we supposed to finance the government? I mean, I don't love taxes, but some politicians just throw out a press release. So, for example, Governor DeSantis said he was going to ban the communist Chinese from buying land in Florida. Great, I loved it. Then I looked at the small print. Well, his legislation, which was passed and signed, only bans the Chinese from buying land that is contiguous to a national security facility, whatever that means. I'm not sure what that means. So in Trump, you have somebody who has had 4 years in the wilderness, 4 years to think about these things, 4 years to experience the viciousness of the tsunami of lawfare they waged against him. He is battle hardened. This is as hardcore as it gets. If he can do away with the IRS and the federal income tax system, he will do so. Right now, I guarantee you one thing: Deng Xiaoping is someplace, or Chairman Xi, I should say, is someplace with a copy of The Art of the Deal, trying desperately to figure it out. You're negotiating with a man who has ice water in his veins. When it comes to standing up for America, there's nobody like Donald Trump. And anybody who thinks that Fortune 500 companies and these other Wall Street fat cats can call him and talk him down from using tariffs as a cudgel to beat our trading partners into giving us a fair deal does not understand Donald Trump. There's not a loser in this cabinet. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, Kash Patel. Yes, I'm a little impatient, I admit that, but I want things to be done right. So I'm not giving up on Kash Patel. I'm certainly not giving up on Pam Bondi. Let's see what happens here.
Roger, we're almost out of time. I want to shift gears now to something that wasn't hard to predict. I've never seen the private Federal Reserve openly come out and say the economy's horrible, Trump's terrible, the tariffs are going to be horrible, and say, if Trump tells me to resign, I won't, knowing that they're private and only an act of Congress that created them could then remove them. And then now Trump's saying he can't be gone soon enough. And then you've got Powell being yesterday, saying I'll block Trump's tariffs when he doesn't even have that power. And then getting a standing ovation. I mean, this is absolutely super aggressive war, not just against Trump and our recovery efforts, but against the American people by the private Federal Reserve. It was created in 1913. It's obviously time to repeal the living snot out of it. But here he is a few months ago when Trump was coming in saying, I won't resign if Trump tells me. Here it is.
Victoria. Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign. If he asked you to leave, would you go?
No.
Can you follow up on, do you think that legally you're not required to leave?
No.
Mike?
And I'll play the clip in a moment. Roger, I'm sure you might have seen him. He literally says, don't worry, I'll block Trump on tariffs. I'll stop him. And they're all clapping. I mean, this is outrageous, Roger.
It is. One thing I would do, and I think we ought to revisit, as you remember several months ago, Elon Musk, who I met the other night for the first time, who I really like, admire, and respect since he gave me my voice back. I think he may be the single most important voice for free speech in the history of the country, really. It came at a crucial time. He was going to go audit the Federal Reserve and see if our gold supply is there. The Federal Reserve in New York has the second largest catch of gold beyond Fort Knox. I think he should do that because I don't know, it's just a feeling. Maybe it's a gut feeling maybe our goal's not there.
And they said they were going to do that. I know Trump's trying to stop World War III right now, but I guess when you talk to the real big guy again, hey, Trump, why don't you go with Elon and check out the Federal Reserve?
I mean, it just did seem to like disappear, didn't it? It was like hot in the news for a while. And, Elon is a guy who does what he says he's going to do. And then it just kind of disappeared from the news cycle. So I think that they should do that because maybe Jerome Powell has some questions to answer about that. The arrogance of the permanent political establishment, whether it is Judge Boasberg, who still doesn't seem to understand that he doesn't have the authority to conduct our foreign policy, and now for some bizarre reason, they are fighting to return a El Salvadorian citizen who got into the United States illegally, and he's a member of a criminal gang. The left is insisting that he be brought back to the United States. On what basis? He's not a citizen.
Imagine this is a 90-10 issue. A senator from Maryland, Democrat, goes down there to get him out, when meanwhile it turns out he was reportedly on a terrorist watch list and caught in a big human trafficking operation. Now it turns out his wife or girlfriend had filed police reports that he beat the living hell out of her. Now they've got all these intelligence files years ago. And again, just like Biden, we now know from the dictator of Venezuela, and this has also come out in documents, said, send all your criminals here. Now we know Biden protected this guy previously from deportation because he's working for the deep state, as a street thug. I mean, this is just outrageous. Why are the Democrats positioning themselves with 90-10 issues?
This senator from Maryland, Chris Von Hollen, who prior to this I never actually heard of, goes down there without the authority of the United States to try to negotiate the return of this guy. It's a violation of the Logan Act, by the way. I think he should have been arrested as soon as he got back. I don't understand today's Democrat Party. I don't. They keep embracing issues on which no one in the American people agree with them. They want to stand up for terrorists. They want to stand up for criminals.
Roger, hold on. I know you got to go, and I got another guest on the Real ID Act coming up at 6 after. But I want to do 5 more minutes with you on the trade war, how you think that's going. All the economists I talk to say in reality we're winning, but socially in people's minds, a lot of people think we're losing. I'm a little concerned here that, Trump said, don't be panicking, don't be a panicking. And some people are. Trump has already lost the trade war against China, says the London Telegraph and others. Let's come back and do 5 more minutes. StoneZone.com. Find all his books, T-shirts, everything there. He's a great American and a former political prisoner. Be sure and support him. He's amazing. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with Roger Stone. Don't forget, we need your support. Plus, we have incredible products at thealexjonesstore.com. And we've got the very best medical grade methylene blue. It is incredible. Believe me, you want it. You are missing out if you don't get it. Get yours now. And we've got the Irish Sea Moss Super Nutrient gummies back that everybody loves. And we now have super strong Shilajit gummies that taste delicious and are so good for you. It's all there. And big sales right now at thealexjonesstore.com. We'll be right back with hour number 3. Stay with us.
Show yourself. I have summoned you here for a purpose.
Nobody summons the straight frog.
Then it pleases me to be the first.
Straight frogs. Save the frogs. They're putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs.
State your business.
This is my command. You are to destroy the atrazine matrix of leadership. It is the one thing, the only thing, that can stand in my way.
You have nothing to fear. I have already crushed the globalists with my bare hands.
You exaggerate.
The point is, atrazine is dead and the matrix tied with it.
The point is, you are a fool. The matrix has been passed to their new leader. Ultra Atrazine. Destroy it for me.
Why should I? What's in it for me?
Oh, methylene blue.
Straight frogs. Save the frogs.
Oh, I need to counter.
Straight
Oh, delicious.
Save the frogs.
Your bargaining posture is highly dubious, but very well. I will provide you with a new body and new troops to command.
And?
And nothing. You belong to me now.
I belong to nobody.
Perhaps I misjudged you. Proceed on your way to oblivion.
No, I accept your terms. I accept you. I accept your terms.
Straight frogs.